A woman named Sarah is in a restaurant with her boyfriend Simon when she notices an elderly woman staring intently at her, making her uncomfortable. Honestly, I'd be too if that ugly hag was looking at me too. Distracted by the waiter collecting their orders, she later notices that the woman has left her table and is now at the window side, making scary expressions at her. At a later time in her house, while Sarah is getting ready to go to bed, the elderly woman in her shrine is casting spells and making incantations while she burns out a picture of Sarah. Later that night, as Sarah sleeps, she hears some strange noises in her room and notices strange movements. Moments later, as she moves towards the bathroom door, this elderly woman appears, making her scared. She turns back to Simon and also sees him making scary expressions like he is possessed, after which she feels a lot of hands on her. Very scared, she snaps out of this nightmarish vision. Later on, Simon comes to meet Sarah, who is now throwing up in the bathroom. While they drive to their friend's apartment, Sarah expresses her fears and says she feels it is the elderly woman who made her sick. But he tells her not to think like that and that she only threw up due to her mood as a pregnant woman. But she gets annoyed at him, saying he doesn't know what it feels like. To calm her, he tells her that he's going to find the elderly woman and waste her, just to protect Sarah. She smiles and tells him to also protect her from his creepy friend, Dustin. Meanwhile, Dustin tells his girlfriend, Mel, about the goat horn costume order he just received. In transit, Sarah feels pressed and asks Simon to stop the car so that she can ease herself. At the public toilet, she sees strange movements again from the toilet doors. Meanwhile, Simon sees a good-looking coyote howling at him. Running out from the public toilet, Sarah sees the elderly woman fur across into the woods, and she vanishes as soon as Simon comes to hug her. Later that night, Sarah and Simon meet with Dustin and Mel, and Dustin boasts about Mel's ability to heal anything, especially with her special candles. Simon then tells them that maybe Sarah needs a positivity candle, and Sarah jests at him, saying he doesn't even believe in any of this stuff, which Dustin confirms with their experiences from high school. Simon later reveals to them what Sarah has been facing, and Mel says she is a professional and can help her feel safe, and she suggests that they use the Ouija board to summon the elderly woman. Lighting up candles over the Ouija board, Mel gives them instructions on what to do as they try to summon the elderly woman's spirit. But Dustin makes fun of the whole process and they end it. Unknown to them, the spirit makes an appearance as it moves across Sarah's back. Later on, Sarah leaves off to sleep, and Dustin shows Simon his new mask. But as Sarah enters the room, she hears strange incantations. While Mel cleans up, she notices that Sarah's candle is completely out, and it is unknown to her that the elderly woman is now behind her. Mel goes to tell Dustin about this and tells him that she wants to tell Sarah about it, but he stops her from doing so. And when Simon comes around, he also stops her from telling him just before Simon goes off to sleep. As Simon goes to meet Sarah, he finds her in a trance-like position and calls Mel to it as Sarah stands against the door doing nothing. Dustin says she is sleepwalking, and Simon says she's never done anything like this before. Soon enough, as they notice that Sarah never went to the room, Sarah cracks her neck. Later on, Sarah wakes up to the stares of others. They ask her if she sleepwalked before, and she says she hasn't, wondering what is wrong. They then tell her that she was in the hallway for about 3 hours. While Mel tries to explain further, Simon stops her and says they will talk about it the next morning. So they all disperse. Back in their room, Mel and Dustin try to figure out what's happening. Meanwhile, Simon sees Sarah's cross necklace fall to his face and asks why she removed it. In an odd tone, she tells him that it's choking her. Suspicious at this, he asks her if she's sleep-talking, and she tells him that they had a baby. Meanwhile, she was possessed by the elderly woman's spirit. Unknown to Simon, the elderly woman rubs her stomach and smiles. Simon goes to the bathroom and takes his drugs. Suddenly, he sees a figure of Sarah attacking him. As he defends himself against her and tries to close the door on her, he chops her finger off with the door, and she lets out a scream in strange voices, which Simon gets really suspicious of. After that, he hears a baby's voice from the wash behind him, and as he looks there, he snaps out. Simon then finds himself in an old, dark room and sees nightmarish visions from the past few days, and Sarah telling him to find her. In his search, he finds Dustin and Mel in a shrine and sees Dustin tearing open Mel's stomach with a knife and pouring out her intestines. He runs out in fear and sees Sarah lying down with candles lit around her. As he goes over to her and attempts to pamper her, she scorns him, and he sees the elderly woman holding a fetus. Meanwhile, in reality, Mel and Dustin are calling out to Simon, who is convulsing in the bathroom with the door locked against himself. Later on, Simon, in his visions, sees the elderly woman eat up the fetus. I hear it's nutritious. The next day, the news of a severely mutilated Sarah and a dead Simon make headlines. The elderly woman who is listening to this news enjoys the taste of the fetus in her plate of soup. A black and clawed witch-like figure comes to her and tells the elderly woman that she served her well, but she will make her die as soon as she makes Sarah alive. Sometime later in the same community, a woman named Masha makes love to another guy, and in the process, while she tries to strangulate the guy, her face contorts horribly, making the guy punch her in the face. Honestly, Masha deserved a biatch slap. Masha then calls out to Rachel, her roommate, who is outside, and they send the guy away. while Masha lets off a wicked smile. Later on, while Rachel cleans Masha up, Masha tells Rachel that Rachel is lucky to have a boyfriend like Charlie and wishes she had a boyfriend too. She then reveals to Rachel that her grandmother looks young because she feasts on baby's blood. Rachel finds this weird and tells her that she wants to go and get what they will eat. When Rachel calls her mom asks about Masha, and she tells her mom that Masha is kind of weird. As she says this, the power goes out, and Rachel hears muffled noises from Masha. As she tries to put the power back, Masha barges in and scares Rachel. Masha then tells Rachel that the power in the whole block has been cut off. Later on, Masha thanks Rachel for putting up with her, but Rachel tells her that she's also had her fair share of abusive and sociopathic men, and that she'll be the last person to judge her. She tells Masha how her former boyfriend started stalking her and made her feel like she was going crazy by how scary he also was. So she got a restraining order for him and ended it right there. Hearing this, Masha tells her that she just wants people to be good to her, that her grandmother is so sick and dying, and that when she dies, she will gain all her powers as a witch. But she tells Rachel not to be afraid, since she's always been good to her. Suddenly, the can light goes off and Masha lets off a scary look as gory scenes flash in her head. The next day, Masha goes to Rachel's workplace to look for her but finds her co-worker instead and tells her the story about Rachel's ex, making it look like her own. When Rachel comes back from work, she asks Masha why she's going around telling people about her story and making it hers. She then tells her that once she's back from her Christmas break, she does not want a Masha in the house. Later on, Masha's grandmother dies and Masha is affected by this as well. Masha goes to a house party, at which Mel and Dustin are in attendance. Dustin then sees her staring at him intently at some point. Interrupting him, a friend Paul comes by and asks if they are having a nice time. Dustin then goes to take a piss in the toilet and sees Masha there, who tells him that it's occupied. Masha bangs at the door of the restroom to hurry the occupant up, and Dustin leaves. When the occupant comes out, Masha casts a spell on her, making her inflict injuries on herself while being supported by another witch. Meanwhile, Dustin, who is waiting outside, hears the spell and moves to go inside. Having recognized the spell, he meets the injured lady coming out, but stops Masha and starts to ask her, threatening her to tell him where she learned the spell she was saying. When Dustin's voice is heard outside by Paul and Mel, they rush inside, and Paul holds him and asks him what is wrong, as it seems to him that he's fighting an invisible thing. This makes Paul mad, and he sends them out of his party. As Dustin talks with Mel outside about how he feels the spirit that was against Sarah is in the house because of the familiar spells he heard, she tells him that they should go home and get a solution to it. While she moves backwards, a moving car hits her as Masha watches from a distance. Rachel sees a message talking about Mel's accident from last night. Masha asks her if she's okay, but Rachel tells her that Masha is dead. Later on, as Rachel packs to go home, Masha apologizes to her and Rachel tells her that she forgives her. Some moments later, her mother finds it hard to track her for a while. All of a sudden, her doorbell rings, and she meets Masha at the door. Masha introduces herself to Rachel's mom and offers her a gift box, telling her that Rachel invited her over. Her mom is surprised because Rachel herself is not yet around. She expresses her concern and Masha tells her that maybe Rachel is busy with Charlie making love. Her mom then goes to the kitchen and makes a call to Rachel, who is still unavailable. Meanwhile, the contents of the gift box shake, making Masha smile. For her protection, Rachel's mom hides a knife behind her back. When Rachel's mom comes back to the living room, Masha sternly commands her to open the gift, but she asks her where Rachel is before she opens the box, where she sees a rabbit, and Masha tells her that she named it Rachel. So, Rachel's mom asks her again where her daughter is, and she tells her that the rabbit is her daughter, and she's crying out for her help. Suddenly, Masha takes the rabbit and cracks its neck, snuffing life out of it. She then tells her mom to look under the table for her dead daughter, Rachel. Seeing Rachel's dead body, she lets out a scream and runs into a room as she locks herself in it. Suddenly, the room becomes dark and Masha gets into the consciousness of Rachel's mom, making her use her knife to stab herself multiple times. Just then, Charlie comes around and sees the bloody scene. Later, tying Charlie down with her supernatural powers, Masha talks to him about how she's always been jealous of Rachel being with him. She then tells Charles how she's made him her boyfriend now and how she will sleep with him like she has never before. Just as she starts to tear his clothes off, the doorbell rings, and she goes to see Dustin standing there. In a split second, Dustin punches her nose and breaks it. He then pours a keg of gasoline on her and lights her up. Yes, burn the biatch at the stake. At a later time, Masha, who is badly injured, is being treated by other witches. She begs them to take her to the hospital, but they remind her that they are not ordinary people. Hence, they can't take her to a hospital. One of them casts a spell on her, making her growl in pain. When they laugh at her, a creature comes out of hiding towards Masha and tells her that she will live, and that they all should bow to her as the new queen. At a later time, Sarah is being interrogated by the police about the other night, asking her to reveal what happened, and she kept on telling them to look at her finger and that someone ate her baby. Suddenly, the room goes dark and the interrogator is greeted by a witch behind her. Well, that was an abrupt ending like my last relationship. What did y'all think?
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.